Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Hi, Superintendent.
Hi, Anandita. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good.
Good seeing you.
Good to see you too. Hi, panelists, interpreters, Richard.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, Vanessa. Hi, Farah. Hi, Sabrina.
Good evening, Superintendent.
Good evening,
Members.
Richard. Good to see you.
Likewise.
Hi, Latoya. Aurora, who's muted. I see you, Aurora.
Hi, Jen. How you
Hi,
doing?
how are you? Good to see you.
Likewise.
And I see Crystal coming in. Hi, Crystal.
Sandra said she's on as an attendee.
Is she?
See if she's that phone number, because I didn't see her name show up there.
Oh, the phone number just popped out. It may have been.
I'll stay on the lookout for that. I'll verify the number. And you guys can carry on.
You just, oh, I see you, Crystal. Okay. Was it the same link or was it a different link? All right, everyone's time is 6 o'clock. Do we wait? Have we completed quorum yet?
We're just waiting on Sandra.
Okay.
Your member has joined the call, Mr. Jesus.
We have quorum.
Hi, Sandra.
Good evening, everyone.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Should we start, Richard? Oh, so I guess now we should start. So thank you, everyone, for joining our CC8 meeting this evening. November 22nd, 2021, calendar and business meeting. Go ahead, Richard. I guess you'll take it away from here, or Angela?
I will. The baton has been passed to me. Thank you, everyone, for joining tonight. I appreciate your willingness and your participation with us. Our guest moderator for this evening will be Richard Guevara, our FACE liaison to CEC8. You will see him popping in and out as there will be assistance of his on his behalf. And I just wanted to quickly cover some ground rules before meeting. Please mute yourself as we are attending this meeting, as we are not in speaking session. This is a public meeting and it is being recorded. And lastly, there will be a public comment section in our agenda tonight, and we will share logistics during that portion. So if you have any type of comments, questions, compliments, concerns, you may please hold that until that moment. And we do have interpretation services available on our behest as well. It is important that we wish to announce that we have Spanish, Bengali, and Arabic interpreters tonight working on separate lines, and our interpreters will announce the instructions. For Spanish, it will be Alejandro Daniel Giordano and Felix Ernesto Anzolo Miranda. Bengali will be Asma Ulhusna and Hadisatun Nesa Mukti. And in Arabic, it's Widad Hamdi and Yara Diab for our attendees who may wish to dial into these lines at this time. And for Spanish, you may begin.
Pardon the interruption. Spanish interpreters, if someone can read out the information live on the Zoom platform. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Para interpretación en español, por favor, marque el 347-966-4114 e ingrese el número 181-987-916 y el código numeral. Voy a repetir, 347-966-4114 e ingrese el número 181-987-916 y la tecla numeral. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Alejandro.
You're welcome.
And Bengali.
The following announcement will be in Bangla. যদি আপনারা বাংলায় আলোচনা সভাতে যোগদান করতে চান তাহলে যে নাম্বারটিতে ফোন দিতে হবে সেই নাম্বারটি হচ্ছে 347-966-4114 এবং যে পিন নাম্বারটি দিতে হবে সেটি হচ্ছে 552-606-305 এবং একটি পাউন্ড কি চাপতে হবে। আমি আবারও বলছি যে নাম্বারটিতে ফোন দিতে হবে সেটি হচ্ছে 347-966-4114 এবং যে পিন নাম্বারটি দিতে হবে সেটি হচ্ছে 552-606-305 এবং একটি পাউন্ড কি চাপতে হবে। আপনারা যদি কম্পিউটারের মাধ্যমে আলোচনা সভাতে যোগদান করতে চান এবং ফোনের মাধ্যমে সেই ভিডিওটি দেখতে চান এবং মিটিংটি শুনতে চান তাহলে অবশ্যই যেটা নিশ্চিত করতে হবে আপনার কম্পিউটার যে ভলিউমটি রয়েছে সেটি মিউট রাখতে হবে এবং যখন আপনি বাংলা লাইনের মাধ্যমে আপনি কথা বলতে চাইবেন তখন যে নাম্বারে ফোন দিতে হবে সেটি হচ্ছে 347-966-4114 এবং যে পিন নাম্বারটি দিতে হবে সেটি হচ্ছে 552-606-305 এবং একটি পাউন্ড কি চাপতে হবে। ধন্যবাদ। Thank you.
Thank you, Asma. And lastly, Arabic, please.
Good afternoon or good evening. مساء الخير. للحصول على خدمة الترجمة باللغة العربية رجاء الاتصال على الرقم 347-966-4114 وإدخال الرمز 636-301-567 إشارة المربع وإبقاء الصوت على الصامت. الرقم 347-966-4114 والرمز 636-301-567 مربع. وشكرا. Thank you.
Thank you, Yara. Because we will have simultaneous interpretations all throughout this meeting, it is very important that everyone speaks slower than usual to allow the interpreters to keep up. If you are not conducting a presentation, please make certain that you pause and allow our interpreters enough time to interpret your presentation. Please do not talk over anyone. And this is the agenda for this evening. I will give a moment.
Should I start the meeting now and call it to order?
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay. So I'm now calling this meeting to order at, let's see the time, I apologize, at 6:07 p.m. on November 22nd, 2021, Monday. Can we have the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Will somebody volunteer?
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. And Aurora, tonight you will have the honor of doing the roll call for us like old times.
Crystal Brockington. Crystal?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
I'm here.
Latoya Coleman is on. She just can't speak, so she's texting everything. Sandra De Jesus.
Present.
Farah Despain.
Present.
Lourdes is excused absence tonight. Sabrina Rocchio.
Present.
Aurora Ronda is in, and I see Gina just signed in.
About 5 minutes ago.
So the only one absent tonight is Lourdes Jabot. Everyone else is in attendance for CC calendar meeting on Monday, November 22nd, 2021. That started at 6:07 p.m.
Thank you so much for that, Aurora. So Gina, will you be taking over for Aurora after this, or?
No, that's fine. She can continue.
Okay. I didn't realize you were here, so because I was told you were going to be out. So, okay.
No
So
worries.
now, okay. So now we'll do introduction of council members. That's me. Hopefully, I look better these days. Lourdes Jabot, who is not here with us tonight, we wish her well. Latoya Coleman, who is second vice president, IEP rep, and also the chair of Anti-Bullying Domestic Violence Committee and the co-chair of Parent and Community Empowerment Committee. I'm sorry. And Sandra De Jesus, who is our treasurer. Gina Staden, who is actually our recording secretary, not to be mistaken with Aurora, who used to be a recording secretary, and the chair of the Mental Health Committee. And then we have Crystal Brockington, who is like one of our members. We have Sabrina Wokio, who is also a member and the chair of the Special Education Committee. And we have Aurora Ronda, who's a borough president appointee and the chair of the Social Media Committee and co-chair of Parent and Community and Empowerment and the co-chair also of the Anti-Bullying Domestic Violence Committee. Okay, so we need more folks to apply because we have some vacancies. Please apply. And now moving on to the approvals of the minutes. If we'll take a moment to go over the minutes. Okay, are we all ready to vote on the minutes? Aurora, you wanna do the vote to adopt the minutes? You are muted.
Oh, motion to approve the minutes from September 24th, 2021. Who seconds it?
I second it. This is Crystal.
Thank you. Crystal Brockington? Were you at the September meeting or do you have to abstain?
Do I have to have been there to read the minutes?
Yes.
Oh, then I abstain.
Okay. Latoya Coleman? Latoya is a yes. Sandra De Jesus?
Yes.
Farah Spain,
Yes.
Lourdes Jabrod is absent. Sabrina Rocchio,
Yes.
I'm a yes. And Gina Staten,
Yes.
all in attendance have voted yes to approve the minutes from September 24th, 2021, except Crystal Brockington, who was absent from the September meeting, so she has abstained.
Thank you. Next slide. Ooh, so we do have the minutes also for, no. We're also approving the minutes from October, okay?
Motion
ahead,
to
Laura.
approve the minutes from October 20th, 2021.
I can second it.
Is that Sabrina?
That was me.
Okay. Crystal Brockington,
I accept.
I didn't hear you.
I said I approve. I accept.
Okay. Latoya Coleman,
She said yes in the chat.
okay, thank you. Sandra
Yes.
De Jesus,
Yes.
Farah Spain,
Yes.
Lourdes is absent. Sabrina Rocchio,
Yes.
I'm a yes. And Gina Staten,
Yes.
all in attendance have approved the minutes from October 20th, 2021.
Anybody wants to, I actually cannot make any motions, so anybody wants to do that part over
Motion
here?
to adjust CC8 bylaws to include hybrid video and conferencing as location.
I second.
Motion was made by both Aurora and second by Sandra. Crystal Brockington,
I accept as well.
Latoya Coleman, Latoya Coleman,
She
yes?
texted yes.
She said yes.
Okay, Sandra De Jesus,
Yes.
Farah Spain,
Yes.
Lourdes is absent. Sabrina Rocchio,
Yes.
Aurora Ronda is a yes, and Gina Staten.
Yes.
The motion for CC8 bylaws to include video conferencing has passed. Every member voted yes that is in attendance. Lourdes Jabrod is absent.
Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that the motion basically is saying that we will be amending our bylaws to have a video conferencing as the location for the rest of the year, or moving forward, who knows, for our CC meetings, depending on what will happen in January after the after the governor rules or the state rules on what will happen with the open meeting laws. So CC8 is being a little bit more proactive, saying that following the guidelines that already exist, we will choose to have video conferencing as a location for CC meetings moving forward after January. But we will introduce that resolution to be in the bylaws in December. Okay. And now, now it's my report. Oh my goodness. Okay. So as we all know, COVID cases are up across the state, and although the city is not adequately testing our students, we know that the COVID cases are up in our schools. As of today, I believe 9,000 and counting. So I'm asking parents to be vigilant, right, with the health of their children. And of course, staff and DOE personnel too. We don't want you to be sick, so please take all care. As New York City serves the Coalition for Educating Families Together, we have written to the incoming elected officials, including the mayor-elect, to continue to put forward our needs for a better educational system for kids in underserved communities. So we are looking forward to more discussions and more roundtables and more forums, as we will be soon electing in 2022 folks for Assembly and the State Senate. Bullying is on the rise in our city schools. CEC 8 is looking to begin an anti-bullying initiative in partnership with the superintendent's office. And we are looking for parents to be leading on that in the community, as school personnel will be leading in the schools, because we do believe that whatever is happening in the schools must mirror what's happening in the communities and vice versa. Otherwise, we will not get anywhere. And so at the last DLT meeting, Superintendent Joint has invited parent leaders in District 8 to write a parent engagement and empowerment plan for the entire district. We're really excited about that because that has never happened before in this district. So, so we are inviting parents to let us know what it is that you are looking for when you hear parent engagement and parent empowerment, what it is that you want us to do, you expect us to do, that you would like, that you would participate in. So email us and let us know so that we can construct a plan that is to your liking, that you would participate in, and that will move this district forward. So I'm really excited about that. So the CC collaborated with Easy Leaving, Educating and Saving Youth Foundation, they're a CBO, to give away lots of turkeys. It happened earlier today. So I'm hoping that lots of families went and got lots of turkeys for Thanksgiving. But if you didn't, email us and we will make sure that you get a turkey. And whatever else that you need for Thanksgiving, we will work on it for you. And as of now, because we've been looking forward to having a code drive, and we just learned that our dream is coming true because we have the opportunity to partner up with Sheltering Arms, thanks to Sabrina Skelton, who is a board member, who has invited us to partner with them for a code drive. So please, if you have old coats in good condition, do not give them away, do not throw them away, save them for the code drive, because it will help a lot of our families, children, and adults included. So I think that's my report today, because we won't be too heavy on the issues since it is Thanksgiving and we want you to enjoy your Thanksgiving. We'll get back to the issues a little bit before Christmas and then really deeply after Christmas. So thank you for attending. That's right, Arendida. I'm always lost and always looking for the agenda. Thank you for that. And now we'll have the reports of the members. I don't know, we'll just go in the order that I see them on my screen. Aurora, would you like to give a report?
Mine is going to be kind of short because I was put on bed rest by my doctor, but before I was put on the bed rest, I attended meetings with youth and community for Community Board 10. And I attended meetings with 45th Precinct Council because PS 72 is having a problem with traffic outside of their school. So it seems to have lightened up because I was over there today and the buses were able to pull up to the curbside, pick up their kids, and there wasn't much of a traffic jam. the traffic moves smoothly. I also took 10 families today up to East 229th Street to Ruben Diaz turkey giveaway events and got 10 families turkeys and the works.
Thank you
That's
so
my
much for
report.
sorry. Thank you so much for that, Aurora. Sabrina, would you like to give a report, please?
I think echoing Aurora's sentiment on just the chaos and the sicknesses going on in my family, this is also short, but I am looking forward to the future of the coat drives. I'm very, very excited. So that's such good news from today and all the other amazing things that CEC8 has in store for December, bubbling around. So I'm looking very much forward to that. So looking forward to more reporting for next CEC meeting.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. And I believe the next person I see on my screen is Sandra. Sandra, would you like to give a report, please?
I'm giving my report for the month of October. I had a family day for our community where we gave out tickets and we went to Yankee Stadium. We do a food pantry every Tuesday. I attended the 41st Precinct Council meeting, which I'm a part of. I did a walkthrough at PS 140, which was great. I had an SLT meeting at PS 48. I didn't know, you don't need the dates, do you? I'm just going on what I've done over the months. I did another walkthrough at PS 75, also great. Walkthrough at PS 93. Had an SLT meeting at Biswa. Also did a circus for the community. We had a small circus come out and perform for us at the Hunts Point train station. PA meeting at 48, in which I am secretary also. Another walkthrough at PS 182. A walkthrough at 304, PS 304. I worked the early elections from the 23rd to the 31st. I did a trunk or treat with the 41st Precinct Council on the 31st, which were also my granddaughter gave out plaques to the deputy inspector and the detective for their work that they do in the community. So basically, that's it. I mean,
Okay.
I can go on with what I started this month, but no, that's just for October.
Okay, thank you. Crystal, would you like to give a report, please?
Sure. So in October, I was contacted by some of the people that we met when we went to do the walk with the district attorney against domestic violence. There are two organizations that I'm trying to get more information on what they would like to present to the parents. One is a counseling authority, and they basically provide counseling for the family in total and not just the child. Because I think, it's really important to get the parents some counseling as well. We're going through COVID issues. And the other is a Stop the Violence organization. They are targeted towards teenagers who, have an increase in violence above and beyond the regular, the elementary school and the middle school kids. So I was in talks with them to try and get them to come and maybe speak within probably not until January now, because I think we already have December covered. I also did try to schedule a meeting with my final school, which I have yet to be able to go and have a chat with. So hopefully that will come through in the next couple of days. I also reached out to Arendita to see about maybe helping Richard with our plans to develop the CEC 8 goals and objectives. I wrote up detailed analysis of how we can approach that. So I'm just waiting for feedback on that. And that's about it. October went by really fast.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Latoya, would you like to give a report, please? Okay, I guess we'll come back to Latoya because she may not be able to speak. Gina, would you like to give a report, please?
I attended the community board sign meeting, and other than that, I stayed quiet this month. That's it.
Thank you. A little quiet sometimes is worth it, just to recenter ourselves and recalibrate. Okay, so moving on, are we up to next slide, please, Arendida? Oh, announcements. I'll let Arendida read those for us, please. Usually Latoya reads them, but Latoya, are you on the line? Can you see? Okay, go ahead, Arendida. Thank you.
Ms. Arendida, you're muted at this time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We are always encouraging everyone to include their email into our parent distribution list for any type of newsletters that are coming out from the CEC inbox. And so if you would like to be added to that distribution list, copy and paste this link or write it down, better said, or if you have your smartphone available, it is scan friendly and it will take you directly to the forms to be able to sign up as well. And if you would like to also volunteer into one of our committees that we have established since the beginning of this term, you may do so, and you may email us at ceca@schools.nyc.gov. The committees are as follows: social media, youth, anti-bullying, domestic violence, special education, PACE, also known as Parent and Community Empowerment, and our mental health committee. And Farah, this is your world.
Okay, so NYC CEFT, the Coalition for Educating Families Together. So you can check us out on our social media on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, or email us at info@ceftnyc.org, or you can email me directly at Farah, F-A-R-H, right, d@ceftnyc.org to get more information, but most of all to participate in some of the things that we are doing in terms of bringing all of the elected officials in the Bronx and in the city together so we can advocate for the kind of educational system that we would like to see, the support that we would like to see for our educators, and for our parents and for our students. So it's all about the city and all the stakeholders in education coming together to bring us and our children and our community the kind of educational system that we are looking for so that our children can have a bright future. Go ahead, Erin, I'll let you take it away. I couldn't read any of that other stuff, so.
And also to just remind everyone that we do have 3 vacancies available to join the Community Education Council District 8. And so if you know of anyone who has a child in District 8 and would like to participate with these wonderful group of ladies, if you know of a male who can champion on behalf of them and all the other males, we are more than welcome to accept that application process. And so if you are interested, do email us at CEC@8@schools.nyc.gov. for an application, so I may send it to you. I handle the CEC inbox, so you will be receiving a message from me, as well as if you have a smartphone. Again, we have a scannable QR code that will send you directly to an available form. So then I may be able to check and email you directly with an application process. Fair.
Okay. So I guess we're looking for a student member. And well, actually, let Sandra speak, because Sandra wanted to speak on that because she apparently has a candidate. Go ahead, Sandra.
Yes, he's right now on the Zoom with us. We already did the paperwork for him, so I don't know where Miss Dawn sent it, but his name is Devlin Barton, and he should be on now. So Devlin, if you want to come on and introduce yourself for our potential candidate as our student, you can come in and say hello to everybody and let them know that you're trying to get on.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Hello, my name is Devlin Barton. I go to Bronx Studio School for Writers and Artists, and I'm in the 11th grade.
Thank you, Devlin.
Devlin, do you have a reason for wanting to join the CC? What are your plans once you join us? If you get accepted, since I cannot say definitely you're on, right?
Yeah. I would like to improve my school community, because I know that in my school there's a lot of concerns from the students with like materials they need, and also like the school environment. So I would like to bring those issues that we're having in the school to this board.
Thank you so much, Devlin. You sound very mature. And for any other candidate, because I'm telling you right now, young people, if you don't apply, Devlin will have no competition and he will be it. I'm rooting for Devlin, but I'm rooting for all of you, because we also have a youth leadership and advocacy committee that we would love to see a lot of young people in. So please email us at cec8@schools.nyc.gov, or if for the position specifically of being the student member in the CEC, please email our superintendent at, oh boy, can't read that, but I think it's jjoint@schools.nyc, at schools.nyc.gov. Okay, young people, you heard this. We're giving you the call. Please answer the call. Thank you for that, for putting it in the chat, because that does justice to my eyesight that can't see anything. Okay, and I think now we are up to the report of the superintendent. Superintendent Joint, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I want to start off by saying thank you to everyone who's here tonight. It's great to see all of our CC members and leading such a wonderful meeting tonight. And for our attendees, thank you for taking time away from all the other things in life to be here tonight. We appreciate it. And Devlin, thank you for stepping up and saying, I want to be a student rep on the CC. As our president said, it's really important for student voice to be included in all that we do. We would love a slew of candidates to apply for this position, but we're glad, Devlin, you are the first one to step up, and it's appreciated and already shows your leadership ability. I am going to share my screen. And can we see my PowerPoint? Good, thank you, Arendita. So state of the district in District 8. In speaking with the CC this past week, I just want to reaffirm briefly our goals in District 8, just so we understand where we're aiming towards, all in partnership together. If I could turn my slide, there we go. So really thinking about a 5-year strategic plan for District 8, and not about what we accomplish today, tomorrow, or next month, but really thinking long-term. And that's something that I know the CC does well, and thinking about what are our overarching plans, not an immediate fix, but making sure we think about where we want to go in the long run. And so these are two, in meeting with all the principals and my principal advisory group, these are two overarching sentiments that lead us in our work. And that's ensuring equity and excellence for all District 8 students. And I should add their parents and community members, and all students will read on grade level by the end of 2nd grade. And the theory of action in District 8 is around literacy and literacy acquisition. For those of you who hear me talk, this is what I talk about the most. And when I go to schools, and I love to hear all our CC members have been a slew of schools over this past month, I'm looking for literacy in the schools. And so hopefully you guys are seeing that as you're touring around to the different schools. And so the theory of action is that if students are reading on grade level at the end of 2nd grade, and that's level M on the scale of Fontes and Pinnell, their ability to perform well or better in other subjects such as science, social studies, math, and so on improves because their readability or ability to read is where it should be. If we don't hit that mark at the end of 2nd grade, there's a less and less likely chance that students are going to catch up in terms of reading. And that's scientifically proven, research proven. It's not just something that I say. And so I call folks in 2nd grade and lower my little learners. Devlin's our big learner in 8th grade, and he needs a whole other set of things. But for our little learners, I have an acute focus on 3K and pre-K as we really aim towards this goal. And so it's a little bit different focus for the district, which generally districts, not just 8, are focusing on test scores and test data. I'm really focusing on reading levels and reading screeners and phonics and phonemic awareness in our younger students. And that comes to fruition in these big, bulky goals. And so I just want to remind us, and we've talked about this at a CC and in my superintendent learning series around the screeners that have gone out. And our executive superintendent, Dr. Tabaya, recently did a parent session around what do you do with this data? And so we're looking to make substantial academic outcomes, improved outcomes for all students. And when I say all, I echo the sentiments of our chancellor, thinking about students that aren't on level, but moving them into proficiency, but also thinking about students that are way below grade level, what you would categorize as a level 1, and moving them up out of level 1. So it's called level 1 reduction. And that's thinking of our marginalized population, our Black and brown boys, students with IEPs, our MLL students, and focusing on their needs, social emotional, but as per the data. And that goal 1 and 2 is ELA and math. Really rooted around our screeners, the DRP, Acadience, NWEA map assessment, and iReady. And schools are really tracking this data. And so for parents on the call, you should ask your students' teachers about the data. You should ask the principal, the parent coordinator, and for our CC members, doing the same on your wonderful visits that you do. The next goal is thinking about employing a multi-tiered system of support, all under the umbrella of being culturally responsive. And MTSS, we could have a whole course on this, and the CC had John Cotto here a few months back who talked a little bit about MTSS on the behavioral side. But MTSS is the bridging of RTI, response to intervention, on an academic side, thinking about interventions and enrichment, with PBIS, which are positive behavioral supports on the behavior side, including attendance. Thinking about things such as referrals, suspensions, particularly for our marginalized population, and really digging into that work around referrals. I myself am meeting regularly with our school psychologists to think about what does that referral process look like. But MTSS is asking schools to support all learners, whether they need intervention or they need enrichment, every day in the class, not after school, not on the weekend. That's in addition to, but I really dig into this work. And the positive behavior intervention is something that should be apparent in all schools when you visit. How do we praise kids for the things they do well? And how do we support them in the areas where they need a little more help? Thinking again about culturally responsive and sustaining education, I'll talk about that a bit on the next slide, but all schools are digging into New York State's framework for CRSE that was put out by Chancellor Young. I had the opportunity to meet with Dr. Young on a few occasions around this framework. Not that I had anything to do with planning it. Him and his team did an amazing job, but hearing him speak about how this work shows up in classrooms and schools. And I partner with what was prior known as the Office of Equity and Access, now is a very fancy new name, which I don't even know, but I met with them even today to think about how does equity show up? And when we really think about racializing our data and our work in District 8 and thinking about the students that are in front of us as we provide the best education possible. And last but not least is really thinking about welcoming and affirming environments, building relationships and practices that make kids and parents feel safe and affirmed through social emotional learning and trauma-informed practices. And that's a long goal to get there, given where we just came with COVID, but that is something that we're really digging into in District 8. So this is what frames the work, and I appreciate the CC, pushing me or guiding me to reaffirm the goals. And we're going to work together. We talked about working together to see what does this look like and how does it show up, not only for me as a superintendent, but the CC as we work together to improve schools and particularly how parents dig into the work with the homeschool connection. So that's my brief overview, but the CC and I will continue dialogue how we can really bring these to the forefront so that these come to life. They're not just words on a page. Around the district, in brief, attendance, I echo our President Farah's sentiment around COVID cases are going up. Yes, they are. I want everyone to be safe and healthy, but at the same time, I must call for attendance. And what I mean by that is we're doing great things in our District 8 schools. As I go to schools, my CC goes to schools, we see amazing things. But if kids aren't in school, they can't experience all that the school has. Number one, safety and health, right? And so that's number one. After that, come to school. And we say every student every day. Our goal for District 8 is 92% daily attendance, and we are not quite there. We're hovering at 89%. And so I'm really digging in with my schools around tier 1 attendance. That's really incentivizing kids to come every day with the understanding that some can't for a plethora of reasons, but the ones that can, we need them there and we want to see their face. Be Kind and Work Hard awards. We're continuing with these. Elementary school was honored last month and middle and high school are coming up. We will be on the streets on December 2nd giving out awards. My CEC, be on the lookout for an email with times and schools for that day, because I hope to be arm in arm with the CC as we're giving out awards in person for our middle school and high school communities. We rotate each month, elementary, then middle high, elementary, middle high, and the date for this next distribution is December 2nd. Brilliant NYC, we did our District 8 Town Hall on November 3rd. Special shout out and thanks to our President Farah Lourdes, who unfortunately is not with us tonight, and Angela, our President's Council President, who jumped in as facilitators around this work as we engage the community around the prospect of Brilliant NYC and revolutionizing the way kindergarten looks next year. So I appreciate our parent facilitators. I believe also Principal Rossoff's on the call, who also served as a facilitator in this work on November 3rd. So thank you so much. Back to our culturally responsive and sustaining education. Along the framework that I previously mentioned, each school has divided up into what we're calling a micro team to dig into one of the 4 tenets of the culturally responsive sustaining framework: welcoming, affirming environment, professional development and professional learning communities, inclusive curricula, and rigor and high expectations. And schools self-identified which micro team they wanted to be a part of. And my District 8 equity team plans all of this professional learning and leads it. I support, I consult, but I don't lead this work. It's colleagues supporting colleagues and work around how our schools becoming more culturally responsive and sustaining. with using this framework as an underpinning. We're continuing to work with Dr. Goldie Mohammed, who wrote Cultivating Genius, with our next session on December 2nd for Administrators +1. And we also have several parent sessions planned. Look for dates in the near future, because Darlene is on top of this and I don't know what they are, but she does. And so we'll get those dates out ASAP to you to learn from Dr. Mohammed in this work. And last but not least, it goes back to what Farah was talking about, health and safety as COVID cases are going up. Pop-up vaccine sites are at a school near you. Now all students can be vaccinated. I believe it's 5 and up. Please don't quote me if I'm wrong on the age 5, but I believe so. And all of our District 8 schools are serving as pop-up vaccination sites. We had one go round already, and many schools are going to have their second pop-up vaccine. I'm not telling you to do it, but if it's something that's in your cards and as a parent you support the decision to vaccinate your child, you could do that right at your child's school. And so we're making it easy by coming to you. And that is my state of the district in District 8 for the month of November. And when it's time for questions, I will be here if any arise. So thank you so much. And I turn the floor back to Erendita and the CEC team.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Joint. And of course, I have no idea where I am on the agenda. I believe the next is our presentation, yes? So we will have a presentation by Contracts for Excellence. Thank you. Myra, yes, is the one, Ms. Bernard, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, and thanks for staying on to listen to the overview presentation for Contracts for Excellence. The Department of Education receives what's called foundation aid from the state, and this makes up a portion of the overall budget for DOE. Contracts for Excellence happens to be foundation aid. The first year that the Department of Education received it was back in fiscal year 2008, and received it for 5 years after that, and hasn't since. The reason why the Department of Education originally received the funding was due to a Court of Appeals decision back in 2006 that stated that every public school child in this state has the right to a sound basic education. Since fiscal year 12, we have not received anything in addition to our original allocation. So this is part of what you've probably heard, year after year in terms of the funding that the state owes the city. So what's happening is from year to year, we're basically just receiving the same allocation from the previous year. What are the requirements in terms of schools that receive the Contracts for Excellence? Schools need to schedule the funding in specific ways, either for class size reduction, that's an option, time on task, making sure that there's individualized attention, to certain students in order to raise achievement, for teacher or principal quality initiatives, in terms of professional development, middle or high school restructuring if needed, full day pre-K programs, or programs for our English language learners. So also as part of that, schools have to make sure that what they are basically doing with this funding is also outlined in their CEPs. So we want to place great emphasis on the English language learners, students that are in poverty, students with disability, or those that are at risk for possibly not graduating. What's really important in terms of this funding is that we want to make sure we're supplementing and not supplanting. And what we mean by this is we're basically trying to enhance what we currently have. We're not trying to use this money to replace anything, okay? So now this current year, FY22, the fiscal year that we're in, we received $531 million. How has this been divided? Basically in 2 categories. What's restricted, which is $348 million from this bucket, and what is not restricted, $138 million. So the 183 million. So the 183 million is basically embedded in the allocation that's called Fair Student Funding, which is the highest allocation that the students received. So, you know, discretion is there in terms of, you know, how the schools want to use it. The 348 million, we have to adhere to certain requirements. And we're going to look at that a little further. Okay, so right now, basically what's happening is DOE is in that state that's called maintenance of efforts, because as I mentioned earlier, we haven't received any new funding. So we're basically at a continuum with whatever we've been doing in previous years. So let's focus on the 348 million, right? Which is the portion here that's restricted. And what are the categories in terms of that? So there are three categories in terms of the 348 million. So we have the discretionary allocations, and those are dollars that go directly to the schools. And then the principals are basically able to make a decision in terms of how they spend it, as long as they're sort of adhering to the categories that I mentioned earlier. You know, for example, the class size reduction, you know, the designated categories for the English language learners, time on task, those type of things. Then there are the targeted allocations that are specific for, let's say, example, use with either the, you know, pre-K classes, or let's say, for example, for a cohort, right? Like ICT class. Then you have maintenance of effort, and those funds are specifically used for the summer school program, okay? So now, to sort of reiterate what this nice little pie shows us here, 61% of the discretionary, 61% of the 348 million goes to discretionary allocations. Then from that percentage, 30% is under targeted allocations. And then we have the 9%, as I mentioned, that goes to the summer program. So now let's just dive into it a little further. So when we're looking at more detail, 94% of that 348 million is being used for teachers, okay? Which is really great. Now, when we look at the rest, 2% is pupil personnel service. That could be the speech pathologist, that could be the the physical therapist, that could be your guidance counselor or your social worker. In terms of 1%, either assistant principals or principals. And 3% of that is for other than personnel services. So let's say, for example, that falls under the category of, you know, supplies, books, things like that, anything that doesn't have to do with personnel. So let's delve into this a little further. When we look at the discretionary portion, right, and we said that was 61% of the allocation, what does that look like in terms of district aid? So, and I'm rounding this off as I mention it, 35% of it falls under the class size reduction category, 11% under the time on task, 52% for the program for the English language learners, 2% for teacher or principal quality initiatives. We don't have any percentages for middle or high school restructuring, and nothing specifically, again, in terms of the discretionary for full day pre-K. So how does it look like in terms of everything else, right? So remember, now we're looking at it with discretionary, targeted, and maintenance of efforts. So what does that look like in terms of district aid? So when we look at it in the category of class size reduction, we're basically looking at breaking it down a bit further. So at least 90% of that specifically categorized as reducing class sizes. 7%, you know, reducing that, you know, pupil to teacher ratio piece. Maintaining class sizes, right? Whatever was previously there, at least 2%. Maintaining, right? And anyone who's basically following what they had the previous year, less than 1% with the maintaining the pupil to teacher ratio. So let's look at it under time on task. So the entire category basically for dedicated instruction. When we look at the teacher principal quality initiatives, mentoring new staff, 100%. nothing under the category of middle school or high school restructuring. But then when we look at full day pre-K, 100%, right? Because remember, summer programs, that was a high category in there in terms of that as well. So when we look at the ENL, the English language learners, you could see a high percentage basically to have innovative programs. And then there's at least 2% that's for parent involvement. So one thing to mention that, of course, was part of the presentation is that there is an effort by DOE, of course, and principals as well, to reduce class sizes. That is something, that's definitely important across the board. But it's also important to highlight that the New York State Commissioner of Education has determined that that 5-year class size plan, which was created back in 2007, when the C4E legislation was issued, is no longer in effect. Your comments, your suggestions, anything that you feel you want to share is extremely important. If there's anything that you want to mention now, and if I'm able to assist you with a response, I will greatly and gladly listen. But you also have the option of sending an email to contractsforexcellence@schools.nyc.gov. And that's my presentation. So if anyone has any questions, I'm listening.
Well, thank you for that, Mara. So I'm wondering, because you presented a lot of figures that I think we need to digest, because I'm not sure I heard you correctly, but did you say that we did not get the full funding for first student funding?
So what's happened is this particular allocation, I'm trying to go to this chart here. So what's happening with this allocation is the last time, the intent was when the allocation was first released, that every year, right, there would sort of be an increase in terms of the foundation aid. And what happens is that after 5 years, we no longer received additional funding. So it's basically the schools are receiving funding every year, but there's nothing in addition to, right? So it's basically maintaining what we have. So right now, for example, this year, in the slide that I'm showing here, 531 million basically allocated citywide to DOE schools, and it's the same amount that was also given last year.
Okay.
So it's not that they're not receiving it, it's that there isn't that additional funding that's been expected. For now, it's, I guess, going to be it's over a decade.
Okay. So do you have a figure in terms of this allocation and what we are receiving in terms of the ARPA and the American Recovery Plan Act, and how that affects District 8 schools?
So the ARPA funding is completely a different allocation, because remember, the ARPA funding is stimulus money.
I know.
Right. So the expectation this year in terms of what the DOE would be receiving with ARPA funding is 3.2 billion this year.
Okay, but you don't have a breakdown in terms of the district itself?
No, I don't, because it happens to be different funding, and this particular, allocation was strictly to contracts for excellence. So I don't have that that breakdown for our district, but I know that that's the figure that was basically the DOE figure, and then there are different components.
So I guess what I'm asking you then, do you think you can come back or are you allowed to come back and share not only the figures that you have shared with us tonight, but those figures, so that we can go into a more in-depth analysis?
Specifically with your specific request is to know, in terms of stimulus funding, how much District 8 actually received.
Right, and so that we can sort of have a full picture in terms of overall funding, what we are receiving from each source.
So what I can do for you, I can actually get that and set it in terms of whether or not it could actually be a full presentation. I don't want to commit and tell you that I can do that, but I can get you the dollar amount. Would that work to start with?
To start with, yes, because I think, and in terms of what's coming up for the CEC in the months to come, when we're talking about parent empowerment, I think parents need to understand how every dollar is being spent, and then to also have an idea of what they would like those dollars to be spent on, right? Because we talk about equity all the time, but yet it seems like decisions are being made, without the parents, even though, it seems like, oh yeah, parents are invited to submit the comments and to do this and to do that, but it's never happening, right? It never really happens. And I think at CEC 8 this particular year, right, for this particular school year, we want to have an in-depth analysis of all the funding, where they are coming from and where they are going, how they are being spent, and whether or not parents are satisfied with that, and whether or not we can have suggestions for the DOE, but also, our principals and our superintendent based on what we think are our needs as parents.
No, understood. But also, just so you know, what happens with a lot of allocations that principals do receive, the majority are also, specific in terms of use. For example, like the explanation of this contracts for excellence. So just sort of being mindful of that in the defense, right, of the principals, that it's not always, oh, I can do whatever I want,
Right.
Especially when you think of stimulus and everything that they're trying to do for the students and make sure in the different categories, it's strategic, specific, but definitely your concern is heard, warranted, and whatever I can put together and do, I'll also share with the superintendent, and then we can take it from there. Make sense?
Yes, thank you. And I want you to understand that for us, having that information is more a question of advocacy, right? And policy, because we understand perfectly well that, principals, the money can be allocated for a specific purpose, and therefore they cannot divert that money to another purpose and stuff like that. But perhaps we as parents, right, we can advocate so that the policy can be changed, right? So that maybe if there is a surplus over here, we can move it over there instead of having it be returned down to the state or to the federal government. You see the kind of stuff that we're talking about. But parents cannot advocate if they don't understand, right? So it's not that we are trying to put the principals on the spot or the superintendent on the spot. It's like we want to understand so that we can advocate for change on the principal level if that's possible, but then when it becomes a policy level thing, then we can advocate for that. Because believe you me, we love our principals. We don't want to get anybody in trouble. We just want our kids to have the best education that they can have with the best funding available.
Understood. You have great principals, that's for sure.
For sure. Thank you.
All right, so sounds good. And I have some notes here, and like I said, I'll share with the superintendent, also with you, and we'll take it from there. So thank you again, everybody, for listening. I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving in the company of loved ones, and see you soon.
Thank you, and you have a happy Thanksgiving as well.
Happy Thanksgiving. See you soon.
Thanks.
Happy Thanksgiving, Myra.
Thank you.
Thank you, Myra. I appreciate that. So we are now going into our session of public session, our Q&A. So I just, before we really head into it, I would just like to just say everything, and then we'll just go in order from there. So let me just move my screen. Oops, I'm sorry. Sorry, you guys. So we will take questions and comments from participants who joined via computer in the Zoom room. Please press the hand icon on the bottom of your screen to be recognized at that time, or type your name and the word "speak" in the chat box. When your name is called, please repeat your first and last name before beginning your comment or question. And then after that, we will go ahead into our interpretation rooms. We will allow for a pause so that our colleagues from FACE Mr. Guevara may collect the names of Spanish, Bengali, and Arabic speaking participants who wish to speak. There will be a long pause, and we will appreciate your patience. This will allow our interpreters time to organize questions. And lastly, if you've called in using phone only, we will call out the last 4 digits of your phone number and will manually unmute your line to allow you to say yes or no if you would like to ask a question. If you do wish to speak, please state your first and last name slowly before beginning your comment. All right, so I will stop sharing. So
Thank you, Ms. Arendita. So folks, as you just heard from Ms. Arendita, we're going to begin with looking at the Zoom room and see if there are any hands that are raised. At this time, Ms. Arendita, I can confirm that I see 2 names, Derek Brown and Sabrina Skelton. So we'll go in that order. If you can assist me in just identifying if there's other callers soon after that. We will transition once we go to the hands raised, we will transition into the interpretation lines. And again, just a quick reminder, momentary pause. And then lastly on the phone lines. So here we go. Derek Brown, at this time, you're unmuted. You may ask your question. One more time for Derek Brown. At this time, you're unmuted. You may ask your question. Okay, we are moving on to the next caller. Sabrina Skelton, at this time, you are unmuted. You may ask your question.
Hi, Sabrina Skelton. I'm a little under the weather, so excuse my voice. I wanted to say thank you to Arendita for forwarding my information to the CEC in regards to the partnership with Sheltering Arms. I want to thank Ms. Farah for also, reporting out to the CEC during this meeting. I do appreciate that. I am definitely willing to be an arm of support for anybody who's willing to have this set up in their schools in partnership with Sheltering Arms. It's a great organization that I am proud to be a board member of. We have an array of different, areas, and I look forward to getting as many jackets and coats as possible. I also had a quick question around for the superintendent around the CRSE framework and the culturally responsiveness conversations that are to take place given parent, student, and I guess the training that teachers are going to go through. My question is, what will there be conversations or town halls around these outcomes? I mean, it's one thing to know that these things are happening, and it's another thing to know how they're happening and in which how things are working out, right? This is not the first time this training is being done. This is not the first time these surveys have gone out. This has been done years before in DOE. And it'll be nice to know kind of what that conversation is about. Given again what Ms. Farah said, even recently with the last presentation, it's about equity. What we don't know, we can ask and we just can't accept. So it would be nice to know kind of like the before and after, and really truly the ongoing of how this will be going on. And this is my last question. So that was to the superintendent. And then while I'm on the phone to the last presenter, I apologize for not writing down your name regarding the funding that the state has allocated, and knowing that we didn't receive all the fundings and then possibly more fundings coming in. It would be nice to echo again what President Farah was saying. It is important that parents have a voice in allocation, given, these are our children, these are our families, and this is our community. It is important to know that, how things are and how things are going isn't just based on a dollar amount, but really kind of what's working and kind of the parent voice in having and advocating for those things to continue to work. I'm not going to say a lot of the principals or teachers are from this community, but we are, and our families are. And so the money that's spent without tax-paying dollars, we would wish to have a voice in on a level as much as possible. So it would be great that this is implemented. And again, what Ms. Farah was saying in regards to policy and procedure is something that is, I believe, to be done. So we would really like to have this voice and a follow-up conversation, not just a presentation on what's happening, but a conversation in how we can help support what's happening and what's going on. So I thank you everyone for your time. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And I know I said a lot. I like to unpack a lot of things in once, but definitely thank you guys again. And yes, I will be submitting my information for joining the CEC. It's been a long time coming, but I had to clear some things up to make sure that my board status was on par. And because I was cleared for that, I will be joining. I will be submitting my application to
Ms.
join.
Skelton, thank you for your questions, and let's allow the folks to answer those. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. I appreciate it. Myra, do you want to go first if you're still with us to answer anything around the financial aspect?
Yes, I am. So what I wanted to say is definitely, like I mentioned before, of course, every, parent, CEC member, everyone wants, transparency is basically what you're saying in terms of funding. But one of the things to also be mindful of is, school budgets are public. So you're always able to see that for every, school on the DOE website. Under what's referenced as school allocation memorandums. In terms of what President Farah, requested, I am able to put something together where, it gives her sort of a snapshot of the total, in terms of the district. So that's something, of course, I'll be, discussing with, the superintendent in terms of next steps. But, in the interim, just to let you know that that is public knowledge if you wanted to see something specific per school.
And I'd say in terms of the CRSC, I think your question is perfectly timed. It's something that I am talking with that Office of Equity about. What are the data metrics that we can use to see what's working and what's happening? I should go back a little bit and say it's the school leaders that are engaging in the work of unpacking the CRSE. But in terms of actionable outcomes for kids, that may differ school by school. And so what I mean by that is if we're focusing on professional learning communities for staff, the students will benefit because there's more professional development for teachers. There's a more robust community of learning. I talk about professional learning in terms of a syllabus happening in multiple sessions with clear outcomes for the participant after each session with goals at the end of the entire curriculum, so to speak. The students would be they would benefit in terms of deeper understanding in pedagogy from teachers, and therefore kids would benefit. But in terms of having, concrete student data, it wouldn't really show up in this work. This isn't a curriculum. This isn't something that we're teaching to students or with students. It's really about hearts and minds work for the educators, because you're right, a lot of the educators don't live in the communities in which they teach, right? And we're trying to change that, but you said that exactly right, Sabrina. And so really thinking about if we're how do we better our hearts and minds? I'm going to say it in simplest terms in order to best approach the students. That's what this is about. It's not really fully about something that's going to be turnkey to students, but it's the thinking that goes into what happens in our school. But even though I say that, I have talked to the office to say, but how can we measure it? What is the impact? And so that is something we're working on now. And you mentioned possibly a survey. In your question, you said the word survey, and that is a form that this could take. And so I think we could explore that more. I don't have a better answer for you now, because we're really in the learning phase as the CRSE framework just rolled out this summer to New York City educators. And it's something that our chancellor has brought out into the forefront as she has anchored her principles and priorities to this document.
Thank you, attendee, for that question and panelists for that reply. We are now going to segue to our interpretation line. So once again, reminder, there will be a long momentary pause, and we will begin with the Arabic line. Are there any questions at this time?
No, I don't have any question.
Thank you very much. At this time, we're going to go over to the Bengali line. Are there any questions in that room?
No, there is no question in Bengali line.
Thank you very much. And at this time, we're going to go to the Spanish line. Spanish, do we have any questions?
I'm not listening to any question at the moment.
Thank you very much, Ms. Erendida. We don't see any hands raised, and there are no questions in the interpretation lines. We will segue to the phone lines at this time. I am not seeing any phones at this time. So there are no questions in phone lines, no hands raised, no questions in the interpretation lines. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Guevara. Let me start this again. And lastly, for the business meeting,
Motion
adjournment.
to adjourn.
Wait, don't we want to announce the next meeting? Isn't that what Arantida was reading first? Hold on. Yeah, go ahead, Arantida, announce, and then we'll do the.
Oh.
As a gentle reminder, everyone, our last meeting for 2021 will be December 15th at 6 p.m. Via Zoom. And so we will be ready to adjourn the second to last for the year.
Thank you. Go ahead, Aurora.
Motion to adjourn.
I second.
Crystal Brockington.
I accept the adjournment.
Latoya Coleman. Latoya, we motion to adjourn. Do you accept?
Yes.
Sandra De Jesus.
Yes.
Farah Spain.
Yes.
Sabrina Rocchio.
Yes.
Aurora Ronda is a yes. And Gina Staten. Gina, you there?
She may have gone off.
We motion to adjourn. The time now is 7:21. Everyone in attendance except for Gina and Lourdes, who is absent, have approved the adjournment on November 22nd, 2021.
Thank you all for joining. This right now, we are going to be transitioning well into our working business meeting. If you wish, you may stay on. If not, we appreciate your efforts for joining in on hearing the CEC monthly meeting.
Thank you so much. Do we need a break or do we want to go straight into it?
I say go straight into it.
All right, going once, going twice, going thrice. It's done. We're going straight into it.
Let's do this.
Oh, go ahead, Aurora.
Working business meeting starting at 7:22 on Monday, November 22nd, 2021. Attendance is as followed. Crystal Brockington.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
CEC's working business meeting Monday, November 22nd, 2021, starting at 7:22. I'm taking attendance.
Oh, Crystal Brockington is present.
Latoya Coleman.
Yes.
Sandra De Jesus.
Yes. Farah Despain,
Yes.
Lourdes Jabot is absent. Sabrina Rocchio,
Yes.
Aurora Ronda's here, and Gina Staten. In attendance are Crystal Brockington, Latoya Coleman, Sandra De Jesus, Farah Despain, Sabrina Rocchio, and Aurora Ronda. Absent are Lourdes Jabot and Gina Staten for the working business meeting Monday, November 22nd, 2021 at 7:22.
Thank you so much. Well, okay, so I think I clarified the issue concerning the resolution for the bylaws. So I guess is anybody volunteer? Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't do. No, we did the call to order. I'm sorry, I'm confused. uh, um, anybody wants to volunteer to write that resolution?
Where's our legal eagle, Gina?
Yeah, where is Gina? I think she probably, well, she did explain that she might be able to. Yeah. Is she there?
No, she's not on right now.
Yeah. So I guess we'll discuss that later with her. I mean, I will always do my part, but you know, I'll have somebody else. Let me see. Richard, you wanna write it? Jeez. Okay.
You ain't right.
I couldn't resist that one, Richard. I'm sorry. So, but otherwise, we'll let the superintendent write it. Okay, so we'll discuss that at a later time. What else is on the agenda today? Because I can't see.
It's the parent coordinator introduction. So this would be taking place with during Silvia's meeting with the parent coordinators on the 14th of December. So it was ultimately just trying to figure out which members will be participating during the block of time from 9:10 to 9:20. That is the time that she's reserved for us.
Oh, that is such a short time. We can't hang out and discuss.
She's the lady of business herself. So it's just more of she will introduce who everyone is on the CEC, and it's more of a speaking engagement, short moment for those who would like to join in.
Okay. Anybody? When is this again? What's the date?
Sylvia, it's Tuesday morning, correct? Yeah.
December 14th, and it's on Tuesday, the second Tuesday of December.
Okay.
So it's the day before our monthly meeting.
I'll join.
Sandra, okay.
I would like to join.
But Sylvia, if I may
With all due
ask,
respect, what are we gonna do in 10 minutes? With all due respect.
right. So Sylvia, I'm wondering,
Yes.
would it be possible, and with the blessing of the superintendent, understood, but is there a possibility that we can create an event, even if it's on Zoom or in person, as actually Jennifer has a preference for in-person activities like that, where we can, something that is not too scripted, where it's just, us getting to know each other, as opposed to 10 minutes of, not that we shouldn't do that, because we can do that in addition to then do something that is more informal and for the purpose of community building, right? Because 10 minutes is fine. I mean, I can introduce myself, but I do that all the time. I'm looking to sort of discuss more strategically with our PCs, right? So that they can get an idea of what parents are looking for, that we can get an idea of what they're looking for, so that we can begin to build that parent engagement and empowerment plan. But we can't do that if we don't have a full picture of things, and we can't have a full picture of things if we are not having real discussions, real conversations.
Yes, one of the things is that was mentioned that you wanted to meet the PCs, but also you can have a CC meeting with them. We just can facilitate. This one was for you to introduce yourselves, because is the parent, is the professional development. That is what I have for the PCs. I'm gonna have Kinsa already. It's like the schedule is already full, and that was the time I have. And it's true, Sandra de Jesus, I didn't mean to have business as a CEC, but you are more than welcome to do one just for you and the parent coordinators. So this way it doesn't get involved the professional development, and it can be more casual, more informal.
Thank you.
If I may interject, hi guys. Yeah, you're as a CEC, you are definitely able to do your own quarterly meeting on professional development with the parent coordinators yourselves. It doesn't have to be something that is sanctioned or put together by the district office. You're an autonomous body. You could reach out to them and schedule, be it virtual, in person, however. In person, I wouldn't speak to yet because I don't know every school's regulations, but you are more than in your rights to do so and make it how you want it to look. Invite people who you want to speak and things of that nature.
Yeah, thank you for that, Vanessa, because I'm thinking, and maybe because I know Jennifer and I discussed it, that it could be in person instead of like a Christmassy celebration kind of thing.
Right. Between the two conference rooms.
Yeah. So I don't know if we'll be able to like plan it together, but I'm thinking about it, and I would love for that to happen like that. If not, we can always model it a little bit after what we usually do for the legislative breakfast, where everybody is together and it's still a festive type of environment. And then, and we discuss things that are, issue parent related, and to do that community building. So, I guess the CC, will discuss further amongst itself, right, how we can do that for Christmas. But if we cannot get it together by Christmas, perhaps in the new year, we'll make it legislative breakfast style. And,
you guys have a lot of flexibility with that, a lot more than other groups. So you're fortunate in that way. You have a lot of schools at your disposal. You have, a good budget to work with, depending what kind of event you want to have. So I would definitely recommend it. It would be a nice event, and it will be an event for you and the PCs or all parent leaders. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I like that idea. So we'll start thinking about it. So all of you people on the CC who are good with event planning, because that's not my forte. We can start talking, the decorations and all of that stuff. Farah doesn't do those things. But yeah, something like that. And then we'll do the same with the principals, and that way it's, it's nice and, with that positive, collaborative community type kind of thing. Because ultimately that's what we want to build.
Madam President, you have a member with their hand raised at this time.
I'm sorry, Crystal, go ahead. Crystal has talent. She knows how to do events.
So real quick, I would love to plan your event, but unfortunately, somebody found out I know how to cook, so I'm gonna be boggled down, Scarface. But no, so I think really the premise of this meeting between the parent coordinators, the principals, and the CEC stemmed from the fact that there needed to be some type of relationship building that was fostered by the superintendent's office. So I'm just kind of confused at how this turned into us planning something with them when we requested assistance from the superintendent's office to foster this.
So
Right.
we don't, I'll
definitely-
just jump in and say, I have zero budget, zero. So I can't, literally zero budget. So we don't have any ability to plan any event, anything of that nature. Can we assist? Of course, sure. But we don't have any budget for anything. And so the only PD that I can have, as Vanessa said, you guys have more liberties. I cannot have a meeting for principals outside of once a month. And that is my principal meeting. That is in their contract that they can meet with me once. That's for professional development, nothing else. And so that there wouldn't be under any jurisdiction to come to a meeting. Of course, if I tell them to, they'll come, but it can't be my meeting because I can only have one. Parent coordinators, similarly, they have one professional development a month. And Sylvia leads that in connection with Vanessa and Darlene. And that's also once a month. But it's literally professional development. So there's no food, there's no anything besides PD. And in both my meeting with principals and assistant principals and Sylvia and Vanessa's meeting, it's a lot of stuff that we need to teach them, train them on as per the DOE. So it's not, I hate to say fun, it's not, I like to think they're fun, but it's not, breaking bread, there's no food, there's no sponsor, there's no, it's kind of down and dirty learning. The other thing is, if we wanted to do something, and if it was something at night, I definitely wouldn't have any jurisdiction to have people come. It would be during the day. And with that said, if it's virtual, then it's virtual. But if it is in person, and I do think it has a different feel when it's in person, we wouldn't be able to have the principals and the parent coordinators and the CC. It would be too many people for social distancing in a conference room. And so that's why it seems that two different meetings or events would come into play. But I'm also, just to answer Crystal's question directly, I'm not able to hold a meeting with those bodies because I have to follow very set guidelines. So it can't be something that I plan.
And may I just follow up with that, Crystal? This is something that is, I can't speak to, not new with the CECs. This is a normal practice of councils to hold such meetings, to force to be, because then you do have control, you do have your vision put into play, and you're an autonomous board, and this allows for that. So it's not like, you do it instead of us. This is normal practice for council. And like I said, you have that flexibility, you have that ability. It's actually great abilities that you have, that you can do more than we can do, as Jennifer said. So, but we would definitely, collaborate and help with that.
Yeah, just to add to that, what Vanessa just said and what Jennifer said, it is the regular practice, right? We plan together for those events, but the CEC pays, right? Because I don't understand why they don't have a budget, but they really don't, which is sad. And then in terms of parent empowerment, right? I'm going to say this, I don't know how good it's going to sound, but I really think when you want to be empowered, you want things to be done on your turf, right? So in some ways, it being on our turf, even if it's in a school building, right, or somewhere else, it allows us to have a little bit more control, if you will, although I'm not somebody who's looking for control, because I'm really into collaboration and teamwork, but it does give us that. So I would encourage all parent leaders, right, to sort of assume leadership titles and empowerment to sort of take control, because we can't on one hand, and Crystal, this is going a little further than what you said, but I'm taking the opportunity to speak, to not only the CEC, but all District 8 parents, right, and who are in a position of leadership. it's like we can't say on one hand we want to be engaged, we want to be empowered, and then on the other hand it's like, well, DOE folks, y'all put it together. You put it together and you make it happen. It has to be a collaboration, or we have to assume our leadership positions and we have to make it happen. Because if we don't do that, although I know Jennifer respects us, but the DOE in general will not respect us as parent leaders if we don't show up as parent leaders and as full partners. And that's on us. We have to show up as full partners, capable of taking the leadership role, whether it's a social event or whether it has to do with a policy and what we are demanding from them. And that, I'm very serious about, because it's a point of discouragement for me, right? When I hear us as parents, we talk about the problems that exist, but then when it's time for a solution, we sort of fall back when we need to be stepping up more. And to I think Sabrina's point, Skelton, right? The idea that most of the DOE folks, right, who work with our kids in our community, they don't live in the community, right? And so if we're talking about community building and we're talking about relationships, it's gonna have to be us building it and teaching them about who we are and what we want, so that we can get the results that we want. So I'm begging us, as parent leaders, to step up and fill up that space, that vacuum, because what they say, nature is afraid of empty spaces. And if you ever look at a piece of land, whenever you don't take care of the land and you don't farm and you don't do what you need to do, you get a lot of weed in it. So as parents, that void that we are creating because we are not stepping up, and then we complain about the results of it, which is like, oh my God, look what the DOE is doing or not doing. Well, you know what? If we eradicate what they are not doing well and we step up to do the job, it's going to be done well, because we know ourselves, we know our children, we know our communities. It is up to us.
There is a large disconnect. They are weaponizing ACS. They are abusing power. The complaints are unbelievable that I'm getting. That's all I'm going to say, because all the complaints are going through the 311 now. And letters are being written downtown. That's all I could say.
And then it's up to us to change that, Aurora. It's up to us to stop all of that.
I mean, today I witnessed something like I was like in total shock.
Folks, quick time check. We are at 7:41.
Thank you, Richard. Just real quick, just to clarify, I'm just going to tie it back to the original prompt. I just need to just get a rough estimate as in who is going to participate in the PC introduction with Sylvia. And then after that, we can definitely collaborate and figure out when we can have a Zoom informative session that will be hosted by CEC 8. So
Thank you for
far,
that, Arendida. We may not be able to decide tonight who will show up, but I will do my best to make sure that I show up. And Sylvia, if I may ask, I want 20 minutes. I'm kidding. Okay, and I'll be there to introduce myself and do what I can. And yes, the CEC will then take the next step on how to do something on a bigger scale to sort of start building that relationship, or those relationships that we want, so that we can get we can start working on the things we need to work on so we can get the results that we want.
Definitely. I think the most important is for us, for everybody, include myself, is to put the face to the name, because we know names. We are now seeing you even through a computer, by seeing your faces. So it's easier to identify. I'm sure a lot of our PCs know about you, all of you guys, and it's just an introduction. But yes, to plan something just with you and them will be fantastic.
Thank you for that, Sylvia.
That's
I
why
think
I want to be on that one, so I can see, put the face to the name. That's why.
Definitely.
I'll be on. I'm almost certain that many of them still don't know
Yes,
that
thank you.
CC8 has a face in the AA role. They're
I
probably
already
still
know your
thinking,
face, Erendira. I need to know the faces to the other ones.
still working on that, maybe. Mr. Guevara could speak more on the AAs in the other districts, but you know, it's more of a just making sure that we're all familiarized, because familiarized it stems from family. So we're all one bunch where we're all coming together, and this is nice. That will segue into council members wanting to perform events or having a discussion about topics. An idea was more of to tie into your committee that we have proposed to be co-chairs of.
We
It's
definitely need to do something on anti-bullying.
anti-bullying. Okay.
We definitely need to do something on that, because the bullying's out of control everywhere. In my travels today, not only in District 8, the bullying I seen was like totally unbelievable. It saddened me to know the world we're living in now.
Now, out of curiosity, is it the bullying portion of it? Probably it'll help us like figure out as to like who we could suggest to be a speaker for us, or what
We need to get
organizations.
people to teach these kids empathy, because like there's a lot of anger built up since the COVID. A lot of anger. And like, you know, just the language on them. Little kids, I'm talking.
I see a hand raised, Mr. Jesus.
Yes, there's a lot of precincts that have officers that are willing. Most of the precincts that have where they go out to the schools and they speak to the kids about bullying, getting bullied, being bullied.
Kids don't
stuff
trust
like-
the cops over here in Throgs Neck.
I'm not talking about that. I'm
Yeah,
talking about them
I'm
coming
just
out to
saying
teach
that.
the kids. And they're willing to come out and speak. And also, I know they do that here in my community, which there's abundance of schools. I know they do it in a couple of other precincts that they do it. I also have a person that'll come out from Guns Down, Life Up, that'll be coming out, that can come out and speak up on bullying as well.
That's a good program. I've attended a lot of their events.
So whenever anybody needs, I can make certain dates with the principals or whatever when they can come out, or just call Erendira and have her set it up, or send out an email to the schools and let them know if they're willing to have them come out as a speaker.
I'm always checking the inbox. Not a problem. Latoya has mentioned that she's been looking for someone to do a District 8 meeting in regard to bullying, anti-bullying, domestic violence. I'm guessing. Victoriano Ramos, he said, I've noticed a rise in cyberbullying at my school. Cyberbullying, we're kind of forgetting it. It's not only in person, but it's also social media.
They need to do away with like TikTok, Snapchat, all of that. I'm telling you, because like it's unbelievable. The bullying is horrible.
Yeah. So we could, I like the discussion that we have. I think like we have a lot to go off of now, because as before, like we were still trying to figure out, but I think I think the bullying would be a really, really good pivot point to
Bring up to
segue
a CC
into,
meeting?
what was that?
Bring up in a CC meeting?
More like an event, like outside of
Yeah.
the CEC, just like doing something outside of the traditional once a month, trying to collectively get a consensus of just one topic and really segueing into it. Real quick, I mentioned this not too long ago, but the January to June 2022 meetings, locations, we don't know what it's going to be said regarding Madam Governor Hochul, but we're not always going to do Zoom, so we do need to start preparing location-wise, like physical. Anybody is still, has anyone thought of location-wise, or
Can
are
we
we
do
kind of
Borough Field Office?
Borough Field? That's Zurika? Is
Yeah.
that where it's at? It's a suggestion.
You mean as far as schools, right?
Well, I'm new in terms of how CEC meetings have been traditionally conducted and in terms of location. So if we're keeping it within District 8, let's keep it within District 8, no?
Yep, that's the way it's supposed to be.
And we do, yes, Farah, you have your hand up.
So I think, well, we had already decided some time back that the two, in terms of physical locations, the two locations that we would choose would be the, the district office, our office, and possibly the,
Borough
the
Field
borough
Office,
office.
yeah.
But definitely the priority should be PS 182, where, where we are located, so.
The district office, she's saying.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm not feeling well. I have such a bad headache.
That's where they used to do the PAPIC meetings, right? Up in that where the lunchroom is in the district office? Or are we using the auditorium in
I'm
182?
unclear. Well, if it's PS 182, I guess we can decide. I mean, it depends on how many people we should, and we're still in the middle of a pandemic, so we shouldn't be encouraging too many people to come into our meetings. So, which is why it's still very important to live stream and have, that Zoom part, right? But I would think if we're gonna do what we did last time, the last time we were in person, where we literally, we were in two rooms, I think. And then we operated from our computers as if, we were on Zoom, except that the members were in person. I still think that is the ideal way of, working the situation, because I am not into spreading this virus. I'm a hypochondriac. I don't come near the virus doesn't come near me. So I am not, into all of that, but majority rules.
I don't know. I feel like we should still do it in schools. We have our children going to schools and the teachers are in there and the principals. So I believe we should do one or two in the school.
A lot of the schools are unwelcoming right now because of the virus and the uptick,
Well, I'll just say you are welcome to use any school in District 8 at any time. Anyone is welcome. There is a DOE regulation around. You have to be vaccinated. That's not a D8 regulation. That is a DOE regulation and even stems to the city. So we can't get around that. But any school you want to use at any time, you let me know. We can work with Ed Andita around a permit. You just need a little bit of notice so we could get that permit in for security, but schools are welcoming and you are more than welcome to have your meeting at any school, including 182 and whatever space you want to use within 182. It's all at your discretion, not a problem.
Thank you for that, Jennifer, because I was just about to say PS 182 is a school. And in terms of logistics, right, and controlling, the number of people who attend, I personally still believe, the district office, the conference room, or different rooms where we can be with our computers or our laptops and have it as a Zoom meeting with very few folks or without the public is still best, because yes, our kids are going to school. That doesn't mean that we need to add to the risk factor, all right, of having people move from school to school just for a CC meeting that obviously we've proven for over close to 2 years that we can have on Zoom, and that parents will attend on Zoom. So for me, when it comes to health is number one.
And the doctors in Einstein already said everyone in Einstein with COVID right now has been fully vaccinated and they got COVID. So,
well, that's a worldwide trend right now, right?
Yeah.
People who are fully vaccinated and breakthrough infections that are, less if you're vaccinated, but people, have gotten breakthrough infections, have gone to the hospital, right, and have died. Those are facts as well. So I don't believe, that we need to take that risk and endanger people, because I do not do unto other people what I don't want done to me. So COVID-19, stay away from me. All right. But again, majority rules, I'll still be on Zoom, but the rest of you can be wherever,
That kind of seems to sum up our discussion items for the evening. We have a lot to think about and a lot to follow up on.
Yes, that's good. And I have a splitting headache, so and I think most of us will be very happy. You see, that's the first time for me since I've been in the CC to say something like, let's wrap it up. If I say that
before 8 o'clock,
I am not feeling well.
Before 8 o'clock, happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
So I know folks are happy right now.
Are we ready?
Wait a minute. Richard, can we see each other one more time? Because if you're happy, right, clap your hands. I love it. Go ahead.
Clapping. Motion to adjourn?
I second.
Crystal Brockington? Crystal, you still on? Latoya Coleman?
Yes.
Sandra De Jesus?
Still here.
Farah de Spain?
Yes.
Sabrina Rocchio?
Yes.
Aurora Ronda's a yes. Sheena Staten? Meeting adjourned at 7:56.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving,
everyone.
Myra, feel better.
Everybody
Thank
enjoy.
you.
Stay safe.
Enjoy your Thanksgiving.
Stay
Be
safe.
blessed.
Stay well, stay healthy.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
As we're closing out in 3,
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
2,
Night.
1. Have a good night, everyone.